Why are we giving plutonium to the fucking owners of AI? What the hell? I actually want to talk about the Leah files and the reporting that she did yesterday that was just incredible. And I just got to say, off the rip, a lot of what I'm talking about here today is coming directly from the Leah files. Go follow her, go check her out. But her reporting, she's the only person reporting on this. And her reporting, when I looked at it, it solidified in my mind an idea of something that I had been talking about for weeks, okay? For weeks and weeks. Let's see, when was this? April 24th, I put this out. So that was 5 weeks ago. I said, I strongly believe that if there is a conspiracy around these missing or dead scientists, these 3 names will be found to be part of the growing list of scientists, particularly Charles F. McMillan, Dr. Philip William Leonard, and the other person was William Bill Denninger. Now, I've actually expanded that to include various other people. And if you go to whokilledthescientist.com and you go to the candidates section, these are the people that I'm talking about, particularly these 2 people. And I've been talking about them since at least April 24th. And that's not because I'm some soothsayer. It's not that. I just looked at patterns and I analyzed, and we found more scientists that kind of fit in. And 2 of these scientists together, in conjunction with some of the other scientists that we will agree are part of whatever conspiracy, if there is one. But these 2 were around nuclear weapons. And in one of my first live streams about this, I had said something to the effect that it's really interesting that Charles McMillan, who by all accounts is like the central most highest figure in the United States nuclear program, right? The US nuclear program, or anything having to do with plutonium production in the United States. And I had said something along the lines that this guy is gone, these other nuclear scientists are gone, and all of a sudden Trump feels emboldened enough to threaten nuclear war on Iran as the first time a president has felt like they could do that since the Cold War. That should be alarming to people. Are you alarmed by that? Because I'm pretty alarmed by that. And I just thought it's interesting that this key figure is gone when he decides he's safe enough to do that. But Leah, she bridged the gap for me. She did. With this great piece that she put on Substack called What Do Weapons Grade Plutonium, Private Companies, and the Dead Missing Nuclear Scientists Have in Common? I'll give you a clue. It's not good. And we are not going to read all of this. Okay, I implore you to go to Leah's Substack. Go follow her on X, The Leah Files. She's awesome. Leah Files. She put out this image, and I saw that, and I was like, whoa. And then I actually asked her, I said, do you mind if I put this on my website? Because I think that there's something here, and I need it represented. Of course, I'm going to credit you. She said, of course. So now there is a plutonium network complete with my mind maps. You know how they go. It's pretty awesome. But I've taken all of her work here and put it up there on the site, and you should go check it out. And it's also linked to her Substack, which again, you should go read this because this is the story. Okay, this is the story. And the story, well, it's frightening and it's also fucking insane. Leah did a great short video. We're going to watch that together to kind of get a little bit of context before we really start diving in. But I got to tell you, I am hyped on this. And of course, a lot of you know that lately I've been talking about TESCREAL and all of these Silicon Valley cults and the AI death bringer that's going to fucking kill us all. And trust me, there's a lot more to go into that on that story. But man, I was so blown away by this work yesterday. I just knew that I needed to spend the day really researching this, really going through it. And I was up late last night doing that because I knew I needed to get back into this story, at least for this show today. You never know. And I've said from the beginning, well, not really from the beginning, but from like early, maybe my second or third live stream, I said that if there's a conspiracy, this is actually like maybe 2 or 3 different conspiracies. And you know this because I went through the first thread that I think is anti-gravity. But then I've always been saying that these other guys, this McMillan, and what I'm seeing around nuclear, that is, I think, that's a whole other thread. That's a whole other sector, right? So I think we're just seeing dead and missing scientists, and we're just kind of gathering all of them up, and people are looking at it to be one cohesive story, and I don't think it is. I think it's 2 or 3. Potentially. One being anti-gravity, the other being nuclear. Beyond that, I have no idea. I can't even speculate if it's foreign or domestic or top to bottom. Who knows? And this is why, well, one of the reasons why WhoKilledTheScientist.com exists. Because I still don't know where the official tally of who and what scientists and how many. There is no singular place. And I'm not saying that WhoKilledTheScientist.com is that place, but it's the only place where we're also investigating all these other things, all these other people. I've identified potentially 8 more people, 4 or 5 that are like really strong cases, stronger cases than probably 3 or 4 of the scientists that everybody recognizes as being part of the scientists. Some people still call it 10, 11, 12. I mean, we've identified publicly 16. With my 4 to 5, we're looking at 2021, maybe even up to 26 different scientists. Are they all part of the same conspiracy? I don't think so. I can clearly see 2 sectors of conspiracy, a potential third, and then I see some stragglers that kind of fit in because they're scientists that went dead or missing. And then we got to also think about the fact that some of these people aren't even scientists. Like David Wilcox wasn't a scientist. General Neil McCaslin wasn't a scientist either. He was a central figure from the military. He's not Dr. Neil McCaslin. He is General Neil McCaslin. Part of the reason why this website exists is because we want to look at all these different people, because if we did have some sort of place that was sort of actually looking at this story and trying to make sense of it, like I'm trying to do with this website, she would have seen all of these people, and probably because she's an incredible investigator herself, she would have seen this and drawn the same lines I'm drawing today. It's just that I've been focusing on this and have been trying to figure out how this intersects. How did these people intersect? And when Leah put her work out, I said, man, that's the thread. So Charles F. McMillan was the 10th director, that's head honcho, of the Los Alamos National Laboratory. He didn't work there. He fucking ran the place, okay? He was a nuclear physicist. So Los Alamos is the same lab where Chavez and Cassius would later vanish. 23 years at Lawrence Livermore, which some of those years overlapped with some of the other missing and dead scientists. 18 years at Los Alamos, including 6 as director, overseeing the U.S. nuclear deterrent. He was still actively consulting for Los Alamos and serving on Sandia Labs review committee. And if you watched the intro video, this reporter was making the case for another scientist that should be put onto the list, and I will be updating our list. I haven't yet because I'm seriously considering putting Charles and William Leonard, and I'm seriously considering putting them up there because I don't think we should be thinking of this separately. And I'm just going to kind of take the reins on that. I am not even showing you the page here. I'm such an amateur sometimes. Sorry about that, guys. I'm trying to be more professional. So anyway, he was still actively consulting for Los Alamos and serving on Sandia Labs review committees when he was killed in an unexplained head-on crash on the road leading to the lab. And I've talked about this numerous times, that Los Alamos. So if you don't know, Los Alamos, if you've seen Oppenheimer, that movie where they kind of built a town to create the nuclear bombs, right? Well, that is a scientist. It's a lab, but it's also like a military installation. Right? That's where the Manhattan Project was, right? So it's basically like the lineage of the Manhattan Project. And it's this massive scientific building where like thousands of people work, but there's only one road in and out of it. And a ton of scientists have died on this road. And how he died on that road is very interesting. Let me see here. He was killed at 5:16 a.m. on the road leading directly into Los Alamos National Lab. The driver said she did not remember what caused her to cross the center line. No cause was ever established. The DA found insufficient evidence for vehicular homicide, convicted of 3 petty misdemeanors only. He died exactly 9 months before Chavez vanished from the same area, and that's pretty fucking crazy. You have no recollection, no clue, no memory whatsoever. Wasn't he with his wife? Yes, he was with his wife. His wife survived. But I mean, not to sound super tinfoil, because there is precedence here. We could be talking about directed energy weapons, things that scramble your brain. I mean, we know these technologies exist. Our government has admitted to such. This woman just randomly, no recollection, no memory, no nothing. Memory goes blank. She swerves, kills this guy. And then all of the police and all the detectives, they just go, yeah, it's nothing here. Nah, this is normal. I mean, come on. It's got to be something. It's got to be something. Just this person just fucking blanks out, just blips and kills a man on the other side of the road. Come on. So this guy, Charles McMillan, trying to see here, but essentially, and I have another report that we're going to go over. But when all was said and done, Charles McMillan became the centralmost person within our nuclear system, right? Our nuclear program. If our nuclear program is spread out across different institutions and places and, things, he was the person that oversaw it all. He was the most important person when it comes to this. But before we get into that, I want to look at Dr. Philip William Leonard. Okay. He was a high explosive synthesis chemist, also at Los Alamos. He had a PhD in organic chemistry from UC Berkeley and 48 published papers. When you have north of 40 papers, you're a fucking badass, dude. So, since 2009, he was a chemist at LANL, or Los Alamos. All right, designing and synthesizing the explosive components used in nuclear weapons triggers. He had a postdoc at Lawrence Livermore, just like Charles McMillan. He was much younger, and at this time, they go off. The vibes are a little bit vibier now, so we're vibing a little bit. So anyway, he worked at LANL with designing the triggers for these nuclear weapons. Okay. He also died in a crash on the same road that McMillan died, and a ton of other scientists. Okay. The crash investigation, police awaiting crash team report and medical records. No cause ever released. He died February 27th, exactly 2 years to the day before McCaslin vanished. General McCaslin, who just walked out of his house with nothing but a sweater and just disappeared. Just absolutely disappeared. Now, William Leonard was not nearly as involved to the degree that Charles McMillan is, but to be fair, nobody is. Intel Outel says, why do they keep using that road? Because it is quite literally the only road in and out of Los Alamos National Lab. Quite literally the only road. So that's why. I have this very big, deep report. We're not going to go through all of it, but I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Charles McMillan and why I think he's important to the story. Charles F. McMillan was, by multiple measures, the most authoritative civilian voice on American nuclear weapons when he died, because he was consulting as a civilian. But when he was not a civilian. He held the highest of positions. And it seemed like these types of guys, these high level guys, you don't ever retire. You don't. You can't. You're too singular. You're too important. You can take a step back, but you don't retire, dog. You just can't. All right. So, as I said before, he was the 10th director of Los Alamos. Okay. He was the CEO of Los Alamos National Security LLC. From 2017 to 2024, he was a Defense Science Board for nuclear weapons surety, and he worked at Sandia Labs review committees and Nuclear Security Enterprise Integration Council. It is such a slog reading these things sometimes. AI and National Security Advisor. What was that? Was that AI? Another little overlap here. I'm telling you guys, this might be one story. It might not be two. So Leah's video, she talked about this plutonium surplus and how we're selling it to 5 private businesses that are essentially all owned by much of the same people and have key figures and players like Sam Altman and Mark Andreessen and other AI doom cultist weirdo motherfuckers who want to kill us all so that we can evolve into fucking cyborgs. And when I say that, I feel how fucking insane that sounds. Because it is fucking insane to say it, but it's also true. It's also true. Oh, man. So he signed 7 annual assessment reports to the president and Congress certifying whether the nuclear weapon stockpile was safe, secure, and reliable. He was elected by his peers to lead the Nuclear Security Enterprise Integration Council oversight across Los Alamos, Livermore, Sandia, Pentax, Y-12. He served on the Defense Science Board's Permanent Subcommittee on Nuclear Weapons Surety. His appointment end date was September 6, 2024, the day he died. Because he worked till the day he died. Because they don't let you retire when you're this type of dude. So McMillan directly oversaw the Plutonium Facility 4, or PF4, the only U.S. facility producing plutonium pits for nuclear warheads, right? Now, what did Leah report on? Using surplus plutonium. Where did that plutonium come from? It came from Plutonium Facility 4 that this man literally ran for 7 years. He managed the 2013 PF4 shutdown over criticality safety failures. The facility had a single junior qualified criticality safety engineer. He was initially reluctant, but became open to the view that the risks were too high. Thanks. Fucking plutonium, guys. Anyway, he was at Lanel, and he faced the 2014, well, he had a couple of rough years, WIPP radiation release, improperly packaged waste from Los Alamos, which was kitty litter when it was supposed to be a clay-based absorbent. They got the wrong shit. They got kitty litter to pick up nuclear waste in 2014. This is at Los Alamos. And afterwards, it caused a section of Los Alamos to be closed for 3 years. In 2015, federal inspectors found 8 health and safety violations with potential for serious injury or death. An electrical accident injured 9 workers. Los Alamos lost over $10 million in performance awards. So just in 2 years in those 2 events, he lost almost $70 million in performance rewards because the shit was not running. Los Alamos missed 29 planned pit tests through 2017. So Los Alamos was supposed to go, and they're supposed to make sure that the pits where we make the plutonium was good. And they didn't do that 29 times. This is shit that'll fucking blow us up, dog. So McMillan, his institutional knowledge was uniquely relevant. He knew how much weapons-grade plutonium existed, where it was stored, how it was categorized as surplus or required, and whether any reclassification was legitimate. His cross-complex oversight through the NSEIC gave him visibility across the entire weapons complex. His stockpile assessment authority gave him standing to challenge any material redesignation. Sounds to me like the dude was pretty important. Anyway, in December 2023, 9 months before his death, he participated in Senator Schumer's 9th bipartisan AI Insight Forum. Why? Why was the dude in charge of our plutonium and all of our nuclear weapons on the committee and involved in all of these things around AI safety? Why was Chuck Schumer, that fucking weasel, doing an AI Insight Forum as far back as 2014? Years and years and years before we ever had AI at a commercial level. Years before that discussion. Approximately 8 years before we were even close. Why? What does AI and nuclear fucking weapons have anything to do with each other? Just fucking make that make sense. Are you guys making sense of that? Tell me in the chat. Does that make sense to you? I'm not saying that we have this all figured out, but I do think that when you look at something like this and you start digging into this and you start looking at him, I think we see some connections. Melissa says, we're not in Kansas anymore. Goddamn right we're not. So when I saw this, I went to Leah, and I do not know her at all, but I've been following her for a few months. I totally respect the work that she's done. I think she's a fucking badass, but she put in the work. I mean, she really put in the work to put all of these things together, right? So a little refresher after I take a sip. On May 26th, the Department of Energy quietly announced it would transfer 20 metric tons of weapons-grade plutonium, enough for roughly 2,000 nuclear warheads, to 5 private companies. How many nuclear warheads do you think it would take to destroy our planet if you drop them all at once? I can't imagine. I mean, they dropped 2 and took out Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Those are major cities. How many major cities are there in the world? 500? Let's call it 1,000. It's 20 or 2,000 nuclear warheads. I think that's sufficiently enough to blow up the fucking planet. I think that's enough to blow up the planet. We're literally, I mean, that's some back in the napkin math, but that is enough to blow up the fucking planet, or at least enough to like destroy our civilization, our species even. Okay, looks like Scotty's got some math in the chat. This is way above my pay grade for sure. But back in the napkin math, you go, how many, if one can destroy a fucking city like 80 years ago, what is it like now with the technology? Could one take a city and some surrounding area? How many major cities are there? You know, double that to catch all the rural areas. 2,000 sounds about right. And even if it's not, that is a fucking scary amount. And what do they need it for? Are they using plutonium to power the fucking data centers? Real question. Scruff went out and he fucking hit the Google for me and he says 500 to 600 cities with populations over 1 million. So 2,000 of these would definitely take us out, dog. And we're selling that much to private businesses? Why? Why are we giving plutonium to the fucking owners of AI? What the hell? Fuck. Either way, why are we giving private companies owned by billionaires, owned by pretty much at this point known cultists who literally think that the end of times are coming, who are, a lot of them, aligned with our greatest ally, I'm so grateful for this allyship. Our greatest ally, who's trying to bring on Armageddon to build the third temple, and we're giving them all fucking plutonium. Man, sometimes I just got to take a sigh breath for a second because it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. The next day, so that'd be May 27th, 2 days ago, Pam Bondi was added to PCAST, the Presidential Science Advisory Board, whose members overlap directly with the companies receiving the material. Again, that board, that's AI. Why is AI involved in fucking plutonium sales? Plutonium sales that are illegal, that not only our country, but the world recognizes is fucking illegal. So Leah Files follows the money through all 5 companies and found a web of conflicts of interest, revolving doors, and foreign entanglements connecting them to PCAST, the DOE, and each other. Oklow's CEO sits on PCAST while its stock surged 59%. That's totally normal. Actually, I say that, but it actually is totally normal. The last 10 years of politics has just been a fucking free-for-all for these fucking leeches on society, and that now it is normal. Now that's like, of course it is. Of course the CEO is sitting on the advisory board that's supposed to, oversee what they do, and then boom, they rise up 59% in their stock. Yeah, that's totally normal, guys. But it is now, because that's what we are, the United States of fucking corruption. So one recipient, Exodus Energy, which is one of the 5 companies, has raised only $2.47 million and has no working reactor. Really? They have $2.47 million in the bank. For a company like that, you're poor. You're not broke, you're fucking poor. You don't even exist. You're probably a shell company, honestly. You have no infrastructure. You have no anything, and you got a couple of cents in the bank. Now, if you were selling a bazooka and I had $2.47 to my fucking name and no army, but you were an arms dealer with a fucking bazooka, would you sell me the fucking bazooka? Don't think so. Another, Standard Nuclear, is a joint venture with a French state company that has an active partnership with Russia's Rostrum. So like Leah was saying in her video, China can't own TikTok because it's a national security threat, but a completely French-owned business that does business with the Russians, who we used to be in a fucking Cold War with, even though that was fake as hell. But that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. Israel can fucking own our entire fucking government, and France can buy fucking weapons-grade plutonium from us and share it with the fucking Russians. We're winning so much. Oh my God, I can't get over how much we're fucking winning. It's making my nose itch. That's how angry this shit gets me, that I'm literally scratching my nose because it's getting me so heated. But the Dow is over 50K. Right. Let me take those off. Fuck these headphones. I don't want to wear those. We're not watching. I don't need to listen to this. Anyway, this is the outline. This is the structure of corruption. The federal bodies. Let me bump up this zoom, guys. Let's look at this. So the Federal Advisory Board, which is PCAST, has Mark Andreessen, Pam Bondi, and the guy who runs Oklo, among others. Conflict of interest? Totally not. That doesn't exist in this administration. There's the Department of Energy, 3 of 11 Oklo directors are DOE alum. So many of these private sector are just the same people. They're just the same people. They're just doing the shit that the government can't do, and they're just doing it for them anyway, under the protection of, this is a free market. I am all for free market capitalism. I am not for free market corruption. This is free market corruption. Just straight up and down. Nuclear fucking grade plutonium to 5 individual free market companies that are owned by billionaires and tech CEOs and all these fucking corrupt people. And there's this connection to all of the missing and dead scientists, and particularly some of the ones that I've identified that have nobody but me talks about. And it's all pretty fucked. I just saved you an hour and 10 minutes. Now you're up to speed, and we're going over how fucked we are, because we just gave probably enough plutonium to blow up the world to 5 separate companies that are owned by some fucking crazy fucking AI billionaire cult weirdos. Just like, imagine if these dudes got laid. We probably wouldn't be in this mess. So there's 5 companies. Oklo, which was started by Sam Altman, who stepped down because he can't have conflict of interest, but he's still totally a part of it. Standard Nuclear, Shine Technologies, Flybe Energy, that's a fucking stupid name, and Exodus Energy. And let's kind of look at them a little bit more in depth. Oklo, $2.5 billion in cash. In the last 30 days, went up 60% on stock. And the CEO sits on PCAST, which is the federal governing body, the federal advisory board for these types of companies. The board includes 3 ex-DOE officials, Koch, and MITRE. The intersection is the DOE Secretary Chris Wright sat on Oklo's board until February 2025. He now runs the agency signing the plutonium contracts. 3 of 11 Oklo directors are DOE alum. That's insanely corrupt. The entire premise that we are selling plutonium to anybody, but especially private businesses, is illegal. It is very fucking illegal. And this isn't just illegal in America. This is like worldwide. You can't do this shit. You can't do this shit. But we're doing it. I'll say this. You can't tell Donald Trump no. He'll get it done. How much I fucking hate that guy. So Standard Nuclear, founded in 2024 from USNC bankruptcy. Okay, so they bought them out. This company went bankrupt. Then they were bought out for 2 years ago for $28 million. It's a joint venture with Framatome, which is the French, it's all owned by the French government, with active Russian partnership at Rosatom. And their investor is Mark Andreessen, who's also on PCAST and is also a crazy cult dude in Silicon Valley who thinks we're all going to die so that we can become fucking cyborgs. Shine Technologies, $240 million Series E. So, I mean, who knows? They probably brought in $1 billion. If they're at Series E at 240, maybe their Series A was like 50 million. And then going on, and then, yeah, they have a $2 billion market cap. Okay. I don't know. It's a $2 billion market cap loss and security suit. Sorry. And they're integrated with NASA, but they're also mired in fucking legal problems. But yeah, legal problems mean nothing to this administration. Absolutely nothing. To also, if you just on a separate screen monitor or on your screen, if you just want to go to whoskilledthescientist.com and go to Plutonium, it's there as well. And you can follow along. So FLIBE, FLIBE, FLIBE Energy, is out of Huntsville, Alabama. You've been following along. Huntsville is Rocket City, and that is where a lot of anti-gravity research was done. That's where Amy Eskridge is from, and that's where her and her father had their business that was basically creating anti-gravity. All sorts of government contracts, all sorts of crazy stuff. The CEO is Kirk Sorensen, ex-NASA Marshal, Teledyne Brown Defense, DOE funded Department of Energy. So DOE, it's like, are you seeing this? It's all PCAST and DOE and, billionaire fucking investors. It's all the same shit. Exodus Energy, founded in 2022, only $2.4 million total in funding. The CEO is Carl Perez from Elysium, which failed and had no commercial reactor. Co-founded with La Hague, France. So France now has their claws in 2 of these 5 companies that is getting enough plutonium to fucking kill us all. A company with 2.47 million and no working reactor is receiving weapons-grade plutonium, co-founded with France's La Hague reprocessing facility. Sounds to me like a shell. Sounds to me like really France got the double dip on this deal, and France is working directly with Russia. So let's look at the map, because you guys know me. I like to make mind maps. I'm visual, so I like to have these types of things. So right here, this is the plutonium program. This is exactly what we're talking about. These are the companies in which they're going to that we talked about: Oklo, Standard, Shine, FLIBE, and Exodus. Also working in conjunction with the Department of Energy and PCAST, which is nothing but a way for them to regulate themselves. Who's involved in PCAST? Oh, every single one of those companies. Oh, a bunch of fucking billionaires and Pam fucking hatchet face Bondi. Weird how that works. You've got Commonwealth Fusion, which Nuno, the MIT scientist who was killed, worked with, and they also did an offshoot to the MIT Plasma Science and Fusion Center, which was directed by Nuno. And they are all connected to Bob Mumgard, who's on PCAST. See where this is going? Because it just kind of loops round and round. The merry-go goes round and round. And hey, if shit goes tits up, they probably already paid Trump's family a bunch of money to make sure they never go to jail. Anyway, this is fucked. Anybody else think this is fucked? Because I think this is fucked. You know, I went on and did a whole video about anti-gravity and how I think there's a conspiracy around the anti-gravity. How we had paid for all this funding, or we paid for all this research. We funded all of this research, the United States government in the 1950s with some of the biggest companies in the world today. And none of them could come up with anti-gravity. They all stop, funding goes dry, but then all those companies go on and do insane things in technology, and they just stopped going after the most insane technology ever. And I thought, man, this is the conspiracy. We got Ning Lee, we got Amy Eskridge, we got Neil McCasland, we got all these people, we got all these entities, we got Huntsville, Alabama, and the craziness that's going on down there. I thought, man, that's the conspiracy. That's the conspiracy. I think there's maybe some other smaller ones, but that's the conspiracy. But now with plutonium, this is in our face. Well, they probably really wanted to do this under the radar. But thanks to independent journalists like the Leah Files, it's in our face now. And that's why I implore all of you, if you have fucking 2 followers, I don't care if you are interested in this type of stuff, if you have any inclination at all to get information out there into the world, I implore you, look into stuff. There's too many things. There are too many things for any one person to look at, or any one organization, or any 10 organizations. There's too much corruption. We need to have more people out there, more people making content, doing stuff. And we've had thousands of people, and he's getting out there and he's talking to all those people. And I don't get discouraged because it's still important. This needs to get out there. And if you guys can talk about it with other people, you get invested in this. You start talking about it. You start investigating. You come to me, hey, Kev, I saw something else. Great. Let's talk about it. Let's put it out there. We need to hold these people to account. We need to stop letting these powerful people just do everything under our noses, and we need to start calling them out. And hell yes, I'm fired up tonight. I'm fired up tonight, man. Are you guys fired up? Do you think I'm crazy? Or you think I'm onto something? You tell me. I don't know what the solution is. My only solution today is like, just oppose data centers. Oppose the data centers. Right? I think the data centers are making these guys overextended, and their power still comes from money. And I think that the data centers might be over leveraged on the data centers. That's what I think. I think those are things that we can actually do, is we can protest the data centers. I'm not calling for, anything physical or violent, but opposing them, working with your city, your local government. I mean, there are towns, cities, and even states right now that are putting a moratorium on data centers, as they should. So that's something actionable we can do. When it comes to this plutonium, there's absolutely nothing we can do. What are we going to do? Nothing. There's nothing we can do. But hey, Trump's just making another deal. 5D chess. Anybody else feel like they're winning? You sick of winning yet? I, for one, am sick and tired of the fucking winning. I want the winning to stop, honestly.